Okay, so let's start today's class. As very less students are present now, so I think we can have a short discussion regarding some of the important questions, okay, in the total topic of endocrine system. So we had discussed in one class. I had asked you some questions and you had answered, so let's continue with that. Okay, so name some of the second messengers. What are second messengers, and name some of the second messengers. Okay, very good. Falguni, Chelsea, very good. Komal, cyclic MP, very good. Okay, so what are second messengers? The substances which the hormonal actions are executed. Okay, intracellular signaling molecules, very good. So these are your second messengers. For examples, your cyclic MP, calcium, okay, IP3, DAG, cyclic GMP. Okay, now the next question is, what are G proteins? What are G proteins? So what is the full form of this G protein? Okay, guanosine trimorphs, correct. So G proteins are your guanosine nucleotide binding protein. Who said? Sakshi, correct. Amrutmay, correct. Okay, guanosine nucleotide binding proteins. So what are they? They are membrane proteins to which the receptor proteins are attached. Okay, one more question is, what is the meaning of protein sparer? What is the meaning of protein sparer? SPARER. What is the meaning of this? And how does growth hormone act as a protein sparer? Anyone? How does growth hormone act? Yes, correct. That means they prevent protein use as energy. Okay, so these are your facts from your fats deposits which make them available for your energy production, so that the proteins are not broken down and utilization is less. So that means your protein prevention of proteins from metabolism. Very good. Okay, so today's class, as you all know, we have endocrine pancreas. Okay, coming back to the, does growth hormone increase your blood sugar level? increases your blood sugar level, or how related to your insulin, and what is the effect of growth hormone on insulin. All the same, anyone can answer. Okay, Angel, correct. Anything else? Of glucose by cell. Okay, so that means saturating the cells with glycogen. Okay, suppress your insulin effect. Okay, so the growth hormone increases by decreasing your peripheral utilization of glucose. First one, okay, peripheral utilization of glucose, and next by increasing the deposition of glycosynthesis, enhancement of synthesis, or increasing the deposition of glycogen in the cells, and also by saturating the cells with glycogen. Okay, so first is peripheral utilization of glucose, next is deposition of glycogen in the cells, and third is yours with glycogen. So at the end of today's you are going to know the importance of insulin, okay, and what is the role of this growth hormones on insulin. So how many students have come? 90 still. Okay. Next question is, what is for posterior pituitary, what is the source of secretion of your posterior pituitary hormones? So two hormones in the posterior pituitary, ADH and oxytocin. Now from where are these hormones secreted? Source of secretion. Okay, ADH is secreted from your hypothalamus. Both are secreted from the hypothalamus. Okay, and ADH is from the supraoptic nucleus, and oxytocin is from your paraventricular nucleus. Yes, both are secreted from hypothalamus. ADH is from your supraoptic nucleus, and your oxytocin is from your paraventricular nucleus. What is the endocrine reflex? Or give an example of. Shubham, it's your milk ejection reflex. And why it is called a neuroendocrine reflex? So impulses for this reflex is produced from touch receptor. It passes through your somatic afferent nerve fibers, ventricular and supraoptic nuclei of hypothalamus, cortex, and then the oxytocin is released. Okay. What is acromegaly? What is acromegaly? Hypersecretion of growth hormone secretion. Okay. Can you tell me a very important feature of acromegaly? Important feature of acromegaly. Prominent and important feature of pain in, okay, gorilla face, correct. Enlargement, so it is the enlargement, thickening and broadening of bones. Okay, enlargement, thickening and broadening of bones. And facial feature is gorilla face. Okay, so you have your protrusion of your supraorbital ridges, then broadening of nose, thickening of lips, okay, wrinkles on the forehead and protrusion of your lower jaw. What is acromegalic gigantism? Acromegalic gigantism. So it's the hypersecretion of, yes, hypersecretion of growth hormone which starts in your children after puberty. So both gigantism and acromegaly are present. What is Laron dwarfism? What is Laron dwarfism? So dwarfism is your stunted growth in children, lack of secretion of growth hormone. Okay, so what is Laron dwarfism? What is psychogenic dwarfism? Okay, in no, it's not correct. Listen, Laron dwarfism is again stunted growth in children due to lack of your somatomedin. The growth hormone is, okay, so growth hormone secretion is normal, somatomedin. And psychogenic dwarfism is exposure dwarfism due to exposure to extreme emotional stress. Okay, it is psychogenic dwarfism. What do you mean by Simon's disease? Simon's disease. SIMMOND'. What is it? What is Simon's disease? Okay, that is hypotension of your anterior pituitary hormone due to your tumor or your atrophy or degradation of the gland. So hyposecretion of anterior pituitary hormone. Any feature of Simon's disease? any feature, any important feature of Simon's disease? Okay, one of the common is rapid development of senile, yes, atrophy, weight loss. Okay, it is rapid development of senile decay and appearance of old age. So you have the skin over the face becomes very dry and wrinkled at a very young age. There is loss of hair and teeth. Okay. So what do you, last question about pituitary, what is SDIADH? Yes, syndrome of inappropriate hypersecretion of hormone. Excessive secretion of water get retained in the body. Yes, decrease in your urine output, increased water retention, increased ECF volume. Okay, decreased sodium concentration in ECF. Okay, convulsions. Correct. So we have finished discussing about your posterior pituitary. I think most of you have come up for the class. Okay, so we can start with today's class, that is your endocrine pancreas. So before going to just have an introduction to your, and you all know has two parts. One is the exocrine part, okay, which constitute a pancreatic gland, and the main function of this, it controls your digestion. And the other part, that is your endocrine pancreas, okay, it controls your storage and utilization of nutrients. So here introduction to your endocrine pancreas, it secretes your insulin, the only anti-diabetogenic and anti-ketogenic hormone in the body. Ketogenic and anti-ketogenic hormone in your body. By the end of your next class, when we will finish pancreas, you should be able to answer these two questions. Okay. The other hormones except insulin that are secreted from your endocrine pancreas are your glucagon, somatostatin, and your pancreatic polypeptide or PP. Okay, pancreatic polypeptide, glucagon, somatostatin, and mainly your insulin. So in today's class we will deal about the insulin. Next class we will see about the rest of the hormones. What is this importance of your insulin glucagon ratio? Okay, insulin glucagon ratio. Again about this we will study next class after we complete glucagon. But for now, just for the introduction to what is the meaning and what is the importance of this insulin glucagon ratio. So insulin is anabolic in nature, glucagon is catabolic. The function of insulin is to promote storage of nutrients, for example your glucose, fatty acids and amino acids from storage depots into your bloodstream. So two different functions, insulin is anabolic in nature, glucagon is catabolic in nature. This is the first difference between your insulin and your glucagon. The next difference is they have opposing effects, and glucagon have opposing effect. By this they control the metabolism of carbohydrate, fats and proteins. Okay, So the second important is insulin and glucagon have opposing effects. Okay, so by this action, insulin and glucagon have reciprocal physiological action. That means glucagon is more important than their individual concentration in regulation of your intermediary metabolism. Okay, so the insulin glucagon ratio is more important than the individual actions of your insulin or your glucagon, because of this opposing effects of insulin and glucagon to control your carbohydrate, fat and protein metabolism. The third is the conditions that stimulate secretion of one will inhibit the secretion of other. Again, one more effect of your opposing nature. Okay, why? Because when one is essential for your body, other is usually not. The fourth difference is deficiency of insulin will produce your diabetes mellitus. Okay, and excess will result in hypoglycemia. Okay, and deficiency of glucagon will produce your hypoglycemia, and its excess will worsen your diabetes mellitus. Okay, so the conclusion is insulin deficiency is associated with your glucagon excess. So this is the importance of your insulin. Now, two scientists who contributed to the discovery of insulin, okay, they got the Nobel Prize in Physiology or Medicine in the year 1923. So for the discovery of insulin, they studied the role of insulin for the control of your carbohydrate metabolism. F.G. Banting and J.J. Richard McLeod. Now coming to the anatomy of your pancreas, as you all know, they are formed by your islets of Langerhans, cells which are termed as your islets of Langerhans. Okay, there are more than 1 million islets in your human pancreas, which together constitute only 2% of your total pancreatic tissue. Okay, the islets are oval in shape with a diameter ranging from 50 to 300 mm, and the islets contain about 2500 cells each. The islets of Langerhans is contributed to it was Paul Langerhans Jr. Okay, he discovered the Langerhans cells, which was later on termed as your islets of Langerhans. Now, what are the different types of cells present in your islets of Langerhans? 4 different types of cells according to the hormones they secrete. The beta cells, okay, they secrete your insulin, they constitute 60 to 70. Your glucagon, they constitute only 20% of the total cells. The delta cells will secrete your somatostatin, and they constitute 10% of your total cells. The last PP cells or peripherally placed cells, also sometimes called as your F cells, are secrete your pancreatic peptide. Okay, and they are placed scattered amongst the alpha cells. Let's see the diagram. Okay, so here the beta cells will secrete your insulin, they are centrally placed. Okay, the alpha cells, the outer line, glucagon. The delta cells will secrete your somatostatin, and the will secrete your pancreatic polypeptide, or the PP cells. Okay, pancreatic polypeptide. Okay, so 4 different types of cells: alpha, beta, delta and PP cells. What is the functions of this different types of cells? Okay, some inhibit and some stimulate. The alpha cells. The alpha cells secrete your glucagon. It stimulates your beta cells and your delta cells. The delta cells secrete your somatostatin. It inhibits your alpha glucagon and pancreatic polypeptide, and the PP cells will secrete your pancreatic polypeptide. So this is the interrelationship between the cells of your islets of Langerhans of pancreas. The hormones which inhibit and stimulate each other. Okay, so the delta cells also inhibit your insulin, inhibits your PP and inhibits your glucagon. Beta cells stimulate your glucagon, or the alpha cells the secretion of your somatostatin. Now coming to the innervation. Okay, it is innervated by both your parasympathetic and sympathetic fibers, which influence the secretory activity of your alpha and beta cells of islets. Okay, so it has a as I told you, it has a neuroectodermal development receptor. It will increase your insulin secretion. Okay, alpha adrenergic receptor will decrease secretion. Okay, now if there is increased vagal or cholinergic activity, there will be increased insulin secretion. Okay, so if increase beta adrenergic receptors and if delta adrenergic receptor, it will stimulation will decrease the insulin. Okay, so this is just to your endocrine pancreas. Now let's start with the hormones. Is your insulin, and today we will see only the insulin. Next class with the rest 3 hormones and the applied part of the hormones. Coming to insulin, already studied the chemistry, structure, metabolism of insulin in your biochemistry classes. Just a recapitulation of structure, I won't teach you in details. It's secreted by your beta cells of islets of Langerhans. It has got 51 amino acids with a molecular weight of 5808. It has got 2 amino acid chains. One is your alpha and your beta chain, which are linked by your disulfide bridges. The alpha chain contains 21 amino acids and the beta chains contain 30 amino acids. Okay, now as you all know, insulin is synthesized from your pre-proinsulin, which then gets converted to your proinsulin. So in the proinsulin, it has got 3 parts or 3 secretions. One is alpha chain, beta chain and the C peptide, which are attached to each other. Okay, and this proinsulin is formed in your endoplasmic reticulum. Now your Golgi apparatus. Okay, endoplasmic, the rough endoplasmic reticulum, that is the ribosomes, proinsulin. Okay, now the insulin molecule, it is present in your Golgi apparatus after synthesis. And how it looks, the C peptide has already detached from the alpha and your beta chain of insulin. Okay, the synthesis, it occurs in your rough endoplasmic reticulum of beta cells in the islets of Langerhans. The ribosomes are responsible for it. It is synthesized as proinsulin. Okay, this occurs inside your ribosomes. Now proinsulin is cleaved. Okay, the C peptide is a connecting peptide that connects your alpha and beta chain, and alpha and beta, active form of alpha and beta chains are released into circulation. That is, only insulin is released into. Okay, now beta cell granules will secrete three hormones. One is your insulin, that is percent of the secretion of your beta cells. One is your proinsulin, that is only 3% of the total secreted insulin. And it has, why I am telling this, what are the other substances which show the insulin like activity. Okay, so your proinsulin has 10% of your biological activity similar to that of insulin. Okay, and it is 86 amino acid peptide. It is to only 3% of the total amount of secret. So the next is your C peptide. It is a 31 amino acid peptide, and it includes 7% of the total insulin secreted. Okay, and what is the difference between proinsulin and C peptide? Proinsulin has similar biological activity like that of insulin, but C peptide doesn't have activity of insulin. Okay, so the three forms of non-suppressive insulin like activities. Okay, and the short form for it is your LA. Okay, and small s. What is it? Non-suppressive insulin like activities. It is mainly by your somatomatins, that is your IGF-1 and 2 like. So three substances here. One is insulin, which has stakeholder, and then comes your proinsulin, which has got some activities like insulin, and here the last one is a non-suppressible insulin like activities, that is your NSILA. Okay, so the main regulator of the synthesis of insulin is your plasma glucose concentration. Okay, so as you all know, glucose stimulates your insulin secretion. Feeding or hyperglycemia increases, and fasting decreases your insulin secretion. Okay, and glucose increases the translation of, see in details later on. Okay, what is the role of insulin? Okay, now coming to the secretion of insulin by the of islets of Langerhans. Okay, it is influenced by your plasma glucose concentration, and elevation of glucose levels in plasma stimulator for your insulin secretion. what are the factors that control your insulin secretion, that is increase and decrease in insulin secretion. So factors that increase your insulin secretion, mainly your carbohydrates, that is glucose, galactose, mannose, glyceraldehydes. Okay, because hyperglycemia is an important amino acids, keto acids, free fatty acids, mainly your long chain free fatty acids, hormones, GIP, gastrin, secretin, glucagon and cholecystokinin, and some of the important ions. Okay, now the secretion, the factors that decrease the insulin secretion is hypoglycemia, okay, reduction in your carbohydrate level when it occurs during your fasting or exercise, hormones somatostatin, leptin, interleukin 1 and hypokalemia influence your insulin secretion, factors that increase and decrease your insulin secretion. Now coming to the regulation of insulin secretion, it is regulated by 3 mechanisms. Okay, all of you know blood glucose plays a very important role in regulating your insulin secretion. Except for this blood glucose, 2 other, one is your nutrients. For example, your glucose, amino acid, free fatty acids, keto acids and insulin secretion by a feedback mechanism. Okay, so how? When the nutrients are more, insulin secretion increases, and when the nutrients are less, insulin secretion is less. So how does the feedback mechanisms act? See, the glucose, amino acids, free fatty acids, keto acid, potassium, and the stimulate increased insulin secretion, and this will lead into the uptake, stimulate the uptake and metabolism of insulin, your exogenous nutrients. So the first effect is through your exogenous nutrients. The second one is the role of your sympathetic and parasympathetic. So during your emergency situations like your stress, extreme exercise, trauma, okay, nervous system will stimulate your adrenal medulla to release epinephrine and epinephrine secretion through your acetylcholine, so in insulin release. So parasympathetic nerves will stimulate insulin release, sympathetic through your epinephrine will inhibit your insulin release. Then the last, third one, the role of blood glucose level. This is very, very important. Okay, what is the role of blood glucose level in your regulation of your insulin secretion? Now, as you all know, the insulin secretion is controlled by the level of your blood glucose by the feedback relationships. So two feedback relationships occur. First one is the relationship between your plasma glucose and plasma insulin level, okay, and it is a sigmoidal curve. And other one is your biphasic response, that is due to the insulin secretion response to your continuous glucose modal response, or the relationship between level, and other one is the biphasic response. Okay, so what is the role of this relationship between plasma glucose and your plasma insulin? So below 50 mg per deciliter level of plasma glucose, no insulin is secreted. Okay, then above 100 mg per deciliter level of plasma glucose, rate of insulin secretion rises rapidly. This is the first level. Okay, now at 150 mg per deciliter initial response is obtained. Okay. Now at 300 response occurs. So 50 there is no response, 100 the rate of insulin secretion suddenly rises, 150 it reaches to the half maximal limit, and 300 mg per deciliter a maximum insulin response occurs. So 0 to 50 no response. Okay, during 100 there is a active rise, and after 300 the maximum effect is what happens. Okay, because secretion, okay, above your glucose will reduce the blood glucose concentration to your fasting level. Okay, when this blood glucose reduction takes place, it causes decrease. Okay, so there is a sudden spike and then it becomes a plateau. So this is the sigmoid glucose and your insulin secretion response. The next relationship is your biphasic response of insulin secretion. So what is this biphasic effect? First, what happens? Normally this biphasic response is shown. So there is increase in your blood glucose level after meals, response to your continuous glucose stimulation. So what happens? First, immediate pulse of insulin is released within seconds of exposure to glucose, that peaks at around 1 minute. Okay, and then returns towards your baseline in another 5 to 10 minutes. So initial rise, then it is again coming back to the baseline. Okay, after your 10 minutes of continuous, during the second plateau, which can be maintained for many hours in a normal individual. Okay, so the first one, after 1 minute there is rise in glucose, and again it is coming back to the normal baseline. In stimulation after 10 minutes will again rise and will reach a plateau. So this graph, sudden rise, a sudden peak in your plasma insulin response. Okay, then again 10 minutes continuous glucose infusion will lead to rise in your plasma level of insulin, and which will go in a very slow phase. What are the factors that are biphasic action of insulin? What happens? The phase 1 and phase 2 of this, the phase, okay, and the phase 2 is the second one after 10 minutes. During the first phase, there is release of preformed insulin. Okay, so that is why peak. But during the second phase, there is glucose stimulation of insulin synthesis. Okay, that will sustain your secretory phase. So the first initial phase is due to your preformed insulin already present. Okay. Okay, there is a give reason question associated with this biphasic response. When glucose is given orally, there is a greater insulin response compared to when plasma glucose is given through your intravenous administration. Why is the level elicited when glucose why is insulin level elicited when glucose is given orally compared to your intravenous administration. So here comes the role of this preformed insulin. Okay, for example, your gastrin secretion. So after meals in secretion, before the actual absorption of glucose takes place and the second phase starts. Okay, so this is the reason why glucose when given orally has a greater response than through your intravenous administration. Okay, so this was a give reason questions for you. Now coming to the metabolism. Insulin, it circulates freely unbound to the carriers in plasma. Its half-life is 5 to 8 minutes. Metabolic clearance rate of insulin is about 800 ml per minute, liver and kidney. Now coming to the insulin action, mechanism of action. So insulin will act on receptors. So what are these receptors? These are your protein kinase receptors, which has got your enzymatic activity. Receptors present on the cell membrane of each of your target tissues. Okay. Now insulin receptors will produce 4 different functions. Okay, in nucleus of your target cell, leading to any biological action. Then next is your translocation of glucose transport proteins through your plasma membrane. So these glucose transporters are responsible for your insulin mediated uptake of your glucose by cells. Okay, next is your activation or deactivation of the numerous enzymes in your glucose and fatty acid metabolism, which is brought to you by your increased mRNAs. So the last one, protein synthesis. When there is increased mRNA synthesis, that is your transcription, it is followed by your okay. So 3 methods: mRNA synthesis, that is your transcription, and the last one is your protein synthesis, that is your translation. Now coming to the actions of insulin class, actions of insulin. The hormone insulin is termed as the hormone of abundance. That means when there are secreted at the time when there is any nutrient deficiency in your body. So that is why it is termed as your hormone of abundance. Okay. Now coming to the action of insulin, they have 3 different actions. One is your metabolic metabolism, lipid metabolism, and your protein metabolism. All these 3 metabolism target 3 different tissue. One is your muscle. Next action of insulin is effect on your iron transport, and the last is your role in your cell growth and development. Now coming to the metabolic effects of insulin, the effect on carbohydrate metabolism. Okay, in details in your biochemistry. Okay, the important ones just to note down, I have written down here. Effects on carbohydrate metabolism, insulin mechanism. One is insulin increases by translocating glucose transference. Next, insulin promotes glucose utilization by your glycolysis, and insulin decreases glucose production by your gluconeogenesis and glycogenolysis. Okay, promotes glucose utilization by glycolysis and decreases glucose production by inhibiting glycogenolysis. So this is the effect on your carbohydrate metabolism. Next, coming to the lipid metabolism, increases your lipogenesis in your liver, adipose tissue and liver and muscle. And the last one is reduces ketogenesis. So how know to your liver from your adipose tissue? Okay, and it will stimulate the use of keto acids. It reduces your ketogenesis. Carbohydrates over lipid is your protein metabolism. Metabolic hormone, it stimulates protein synthesis and inhibits your pets. How? Two mechanism. It increases trans acids of alanine, leucine, tyrosine, etc. And it increases the translation of messenger mRNA on ribosome, forming your new proteins. Okay, which leads to your your protein synthesis. Insulin will inhibit protein metabolism by inhibiting your proteolysis. Okay, so metabolism of carbohydrate, lipids and fat, effect of insulin on them we have seen. Next, effect of insulin on iron transport. Insulin increases the iron uptake in your skeletal muscles. Okay, potassium and phosphate into your hepatic cells from your extracellular fluid by increasing your membrane permeability. Also, it increases the reabsorption of potassium, phosphate and sodium by the tubules of your kidney. So in this way, insulin affects your iron transport. The last one is the role of insulin in your cell growth and development. The anabolic action of insulin is important for your promotion of your normal growth. Okay, when it stimulates the synthesis of macromolecules in tissues such as your cartilage and bone. Okay, if insulin is deprived from the individual is seen with a lean body, bone mass, retarded height, and there is retarded maturation. Okay, so this is why insulin we have seen. So let's finish the class here. The next class we will any doubt in today's class, you may ask me any doubt with the applied aspect, and our endocrine physiology will be finished. Okay, thank you.